I'd like to say Richard Dunne joins us on the line now. Morning to you, Richard.
Morning.
We've just been going through it there with Phil Thompson. You can sort of predict which side of the debate he fell down on. City obviously a few defensive concerns and some players definitely out for this weekend. Does that make you concerned about the outcome?
Yeah, I think he's right. I don't think Man City can sit back. I think with the defensive problems they have got, I think it'd be a mistake to sit back and try and hold out. I think they'll have to go and attack, but we know what they've got going forward. They've got some of the best attacking players in Europe, and regardless of what they've got defensively, I think they still carry a massive threat going forward, and they're more than capable of hitting Liverpool on the break or dominating the game even in midfield. We've seen when the goalie got sent off in midweek, they just kept the ball in the opposition's half and kept the ball away from their goal. So they're a very talented squad, and even with the injuries and the suspensions or whatever the players missing, they're still a big threat.
Just on that point about the counter-attack, Nathan was just talking there about sort of how City might go about obviously containing that Liverpool team, and we know the threat that comes from the two Liverpool wing-backs. What is it from a City point of view? Is that a case of having Sterling and Mahrez push on in a way that pins them back, or how do City go about containing that attack?
Normally when they played against a back three with wing backs, they've kept three forwards to keep the wing backs defensive, and with Liverpool their full backs are almost wing backs. They try and get forward all the time. So I think if Sterling and Mahrez or whoever it may be can play higher up the field, it will limit Robertson and Alexander-Arnold's attacking threat. So I think they might try and play with the three up front, and keep them wide and keep them high, and dominate them in the midfield area. So it'll be good because it'll be a tactical thing. I think both sides know how good the other is, and they're both a little bit wary of the threats from the other side. So I think tactically it will be important. And Liverpool themselves, I mean, as good as they have been, they've not kept a clean sheet for 7 or 8 games or something now. So they'll have a little doubt in their mind about overloading things in attack.
The biggest loss for Manchester City with all these injuries is surely Aymeric Laporte, who's been their best defender and far and away their best defender, with Vincent Kompany having left the club. And Pep Guardiola's rotated. Fernandinho's back there, John Stones, Nicolas Otamendi. One of them will end up starting alongside Fernandinho. As a centre-half, how long does it take to establish a relationship where you totally understand what the other one's going to do? Like, sometimes does it just click, or is there always a bedding-in period of it takes 20, 30 games?
I think we're at. I think you see with players when they move positions, they change positions, because generally they're good players. They can do the job over a short period of time. But the longer the time goes, they play out of position. They start to make more mistakes and more errors throughout the games. And I think for Man City, the possibility of whether it be Fernandinho or Otamendi or whoever, they'll get away with it. They'll get away with it in periods, but over the course of the season, they'll make too many mistakes between them, and they could click. They could have an amazing day and all that, but you don't see it as a consistent partnership or something that's going to be. It's going to be 10 out of 10 every week, you know. So for Man City, they know where the deficiencies are. They know they've got problems in that position, and they almost have to counteract it maybe with Gundogan playing a little bit deeper at times, or the fullbacks, because of the pace of Walker, and if it's Mendy who plays, they can get around and cover. So because that central position is a bit dodgy for them defensively, everyone else takes a step backwards or has it in their mind that they need to get back and cover a little bit more. So it affects the whole team. And in terms of building long-lasting partnerships, I think everybody in the team and everyone outside of the team, we all know it's never going to be a long-lasting partnership. So whether it ever will mount into something strong and defensive, I'm not too sure.
The frustration for Guardiola and for the City supporters must be that when you look at that partnership of Fernandinho and Otamendi in particular, like what you're talking about there is that Fernandinho is the one who's playing out of position, and that eventually, you know, he will make some mistakes. But the one who's been making the mistakes is Otamendi, who's the experienced centre half. You know, played countless times at international level. He's 31 at this stage. Like, do you look at him and think he is a centre back of the quality of Manchester City, looking to become European champions, looking to win 3 Premier League titles in a row? Is he at that level?
I don't think he's been at that level for 4 or 5 years. I don't think he's ever really reached it. I think he's been probably in a team that dominates a lot. So defensively, they probably don't have as much as a normal team, and also he's being partnered with very strong defenders. So I think in one-on-one terms, he makes rash decisions. He runs out of position, and I don't think he's the same level as the other players in the team. But obviously, Pep sees some qualities in him in terms of coming out with the ball and passing it. But I think for a defender, if you were to compare him against Van Dijk, well, there really isn't a comparison. You know, Van Dijk can do both. He can come out with the ball and he can defend brilliantly. So you've always sort of over the last 10 years or whatever, since they've become such a good side, they've had one strong central defender, and I think for them they've had one strong defender and one ball playing defender, and to go to win Champions League, you need two defenders who can defend one-on-one situations, who can hold the line properly, and who the rest of the team can rely on.
The way Liverpool defend and how high they defend, Damien Delaney has explained it very well, and I think he's played against that type of system where Liverpool playing practically everybody inside the opposition half and pinning them back so much and almost suffocating the life out of them that there's never really an out ball for the defensive team because they just have to clear it as far up the pitch. It's picked up again by Van Dijk or Matip, they recycle it, they get it forward quickly. As a centre-back, how difficult a job is that, and how risky is it, do you think, for Liverpool to be playing Matip and Van Dijk and the two fullbacks even further forward? How risky is it to play everybody that far up the pitch, particularly against Manchester City this weekend?
Yeah, it is risky. I think it's for Liverpool, if they make one press which doesn't go correctly, there's an out ball straight away, you know, and they're high up the field and people can get in behind them. But what they've done is the pressing is that good that people can't get out. I think technically Man City are probably the best team in the league, so they're a side that can play quick 1-2 touch football and get in behind Liverpool. And but we've seen Liverpool, we've seen them last season, we've seen them this season so far. They're brilliant. They're great at what they do, and they're full of confidence. So I'm sure they're ready for balls over the top, and that's probably not what Man City want to do. They don't want to play the ball long and chase it and push up and that, but from time to time that's necessary, and certainly with the speed of Sterling and the accuracy of maybe a long ball from Kevin De Bruyne, that could be a big threat for Liverpool if they're not. It's all right pushing high, but you've always got to be aware of the ball over the top, and you can't always be on the front foot going forward. You also have to have one eye on what's happening behind you.
Kenny Cunningham kicked off a bit of a debate earlier in the week, Richard, but he was on with us and he was talking about Fabinho, and there's plenty who think that he is the embodiment of this Liverpool team this year, that he's one of the most improved players, that he's the fulcrum of all that's good, I suppose, about Liverpool. So there's plenty of counter-argument, but the essence of Kenny's point was that he's not a player in that position who necessarily senses danger, doesn't have the alertness. He said, you know, he doesn't have the legs to get across the pitch. What's your take on him?
On Fabinho?
Yes.
I think he's very good. I think he's more probably in the mould of what Michael Carrick used to do. He just recycles the ball and moves it, and he's in good positions. I agree, he's not lightning quick, and he's not going to make great recoveries. But similar to Fernandinho, again, he makes professional fouls. He takes little tugs of jerseys and stuff like that. So he disrupts play. But, for the way that Liverpool play, because they press so much, a lot of the ball from the opposition gets cleared into a central area, and he's very good at picking it up and starting the attacks again. So I think for what Liverpool use him for, I think he's been outstanding this season, and I think he's an important player for them. What
do you expect to happen on Sunday?
I hope it's like last year's game, last January's game, and it was just unbelievable football, and it was end to end, and I hope for more of the same. It's very difficult to call because wherever Man City are lacking defensively, they've got so much going forward. It's just whether they can match the intensity of Liverpool, and I think the games there previously, the crowd are up for it. Everyone seems to think it's the title decider almost. So it's going to be tough, and there won't be much in it. And rather than call a score, I'm just hoping for a really good game.
Just want, before we let you go, Richard, obviously the Ireland squad's been named for the big game against Denmark in a couple of weeks' time, and Kieran Clark is one of the players who is back in. There's obviously going to have to be some shifting defensively for Ireland with Richard Keogh now out. Who is it that's going to start alongside Shane Duffy if they do go with that four at the back?
I think Egan. I think he was very good in the last 2 games. He's done really well, and I think once you're in and you do well, if you've got the jersey until you start making mistakes, you deserve to keep it. So I think Kieran's had a tough time over the last year, probably in terms of game time, but he's come back, and Newcastle looks stronger for him being back in the team, and he's a very good player to have in the squad in case there is any more issues.
Yeah.
Richard, we're just a couple of weeks away from a big anniversary. Have yourself and Thierry any plans to mark the 10-year anniversary of that most memorable night in Paris?
Not yet. I don't know. He's not being seen, I don't think, since the Monaco situation he had there. So
he's not welcome in your part of the world right now for many reasons. No, he's just chatting about it last week, and time's flying past. So it's a long time ago, and hopefully we can have better memories this summer coming up, and we can get the points that we need over the next week and qualify.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Thanks, Richard.
Nice one, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Richard Dunne on the line there. Ahead of that game of the weekend. So, Tom Malone is going to join us next on OTB AM to bring us the very latest in the world of sports news. 8:35 on this Friday morning. You're watching OTB AM, the sports breakfast show from Off the Ball.